I'm Bob Bowman. Welcome to the Personal Best Swimming Instructional Series. In this video, we'll be working on butterfly technique and strategies to improve your technique on a daily basis. The key will be if you take these tools and apply them in your daily training regimen. Stroke technique is the most important thing in performance swimming. Efficient technical skills matter most when you're racing and competing at a high level, and I think that carries over to every level of swimming. Young swimmers should learn the basics of good technique before they try to do a lot of conditioning work, because this will give them the right car to race with as they're older. One of the hardest things that I do in my job as a college coach is try to change bad habits that swimmers have been using for years and years prior to coming to school. Today we're going to work on various aspects of the butterfly technique. And when you're working on any stroke in terms of breaking it down, working on the individual aspects of arms, legs, core body movements, it's very important that you focus on getting the skills correct at a slow speed and then gradually work up to using them at faster and faster speeds. It's very important that this work is done correctly, but it's also important to me that it's done with an intensity level, and that's something that takes time to develop. The very best swimmers can perform very good skill level at a high effort level, and that's one of the things I think you'll want to work towards in your swimming, and something that we place a high emphasis on in our program. The key to butterfly swimming is managing all the various elements by using your body core to direct all the movement. One of the things that we found about butterfly today is that we're trying to get a very flat forward motion instead of a lot of undulating up and down movement. And that's one of the things that we're working on most with Michael, to try to plane out his stroke so that he has forward motion more so than up and down. Having said that, the body will play a very important part in tying the arms and the legs together, and I think it's very important that the first thing you do when learning butterfly is to get a good timing between all of the elements, and that's going to be directed from your body core. Of course, Michael's signature stroke is butterfly, and that was the stroke where he had his earliest success on an international level and continues today to be the dominant butterfly swimmer in the world. When I first started coaching Michael and he was 10 years old, he had a slight hiccup or problems in his timing of the stroke. And that was the first thing that we worked on, trying to time the breath properly with the stroke, trying to put the head in a proper position when taking a breath, and just trying to get overall a more smooth stroke instead of something that was choppy. As a coach, I always want my swimmers to concentrate more on technique, because the more you improve your technique, the better swimmer you'll be, regardless how fast you are now. And that's an area that I think Michael can still improve on. He can still, even as the world record holder in butterfly, do a better stroke, which will allow him to go even faster in the years to come. The three basic points of butterfly swimming that we'll touch on today are: number one, a strong, streamlined underwater kick to start the length. Number two, a straight arm recovery which sweeps over the water in a forward direction. And number three, a breathing position which minimizes up and down movement of the head and maintains a proper body line. It's very important to start each length of butterfly with a strong, streamlined underwater kicking series. For beginning swimmers, you'll start with 2 or 3 kicks underwater, but you should start with some. You should never just push off the wall and come up and start swimming. More advanced swimmers will add kicks to the most advanced level, where you'll be kicking 15 meters off of each wall. This is a tremendous advantage and will help you build speed as you start the length. In butterfly, momentum is critical, and starting with good momentum from the wall will help you reach your personal best. Watch how tight Michael's elbows are squeezed together in the streamline, and how he uses a continuous motion that employs his whole body. It's not just from the knees down or the hips down. It originates up in his chest and carries through the whole body. It's very important when you're doing underwater kicking or any movement related to butterfly. The best swimmers in the world today employ a straight arm recovery. This is the fastest way to recover the arms and maximize your underwater potential in butterfly, which is the most important propulsive phase. You want to move through the recovery as quickly as you can without losing speed, and you want to do it with fairly relaxed arms because you're going to try to use all of your force in the underwater phase of the stroke. I believe that Michael gains a bit of angular momentum, or actually forward movement, from the sweeping of his hands and arms forward. And by keeping the elbows straight, you can maximize this ability. When I was growing up, we were taught to breathe with chin forward in butterfly. But what we've found today is that when you push the chin forward and lift up the head, you drop the hips and get into a vertical position. Our main goal in butterfly swimming is to maintain a flat horizontal position, so the head position and the breath is critical for this. You want to take your breath looking down at a 45-degree angle on the water with your neck in as flat a position as possible. Now, while you'll notice that Michael does lift his chin slightly to get his breath, his head position in general remains neutral. There's not a lot of up and down motion or curling of his neck during the breath. And that's very important to maintaining a very long body line and also staying horizontal while you swim. More advanced butterflyers will want to focus on a very soft hand entry and catch position, an advanced hip timing in relation to the hands, and a constant kicking motion when training and swimming butterfly. I think it's important that butterfly swimmers place their hands in the water softly without a lot of splash or anything that would upset the onward flow of water that's coming at you as you actually move through the water. One of the things that Michael does better than anyone is he's able to get his hands in without a lot of turbulence and immediately catch the water to start the propulsive phase of his stroke. Take a look at his underwater swimming right now and watch how quickly he connects to the water when his hands enter. The timing of the body in relation to the arms and legs is the critical factor in butterfly swimming. Michael uses a lot of different techniques to work on this, but one of the things that we really focus on is the timing of his hip movement in relation to the entry of the hands.
The more you're able to get your hips to the surface and always keep your kick moving, it's going to help you move forward in the stroke.
Watch how Michael times his stroke and his hips are at their highest point before his hands get into the water. It's a very good cue to use when you're training, and any swimmer can do this to improve their butterfly stroke. Kicking speed is extremely important in butterfly, and maintaining a constant kicking action is critical in maintaining velocity, particularly over 200 meters. Michael's one of the best kickers in the world, and that is why he is so fast in butterfly. Let's look at Michael's butterfly kicking action. You'll notice that it is continuous and it never has a pause or a break. I think that makes him different from all other butterflyers swimming 200 meters today and has allowed him to really have a momentum to his stroke that other people don't. As a coach, sometimes it's very difficult to find ways to transition from drill work to actually swimming the stroke, and in butterfly this is especially true. One of the ways that we do this is by using combination drills, and there are several that we use that employ single and double arm strokes. Watch how Michael's body moves when he does the single arm drill. This is a great opportunity for swimmers to check the balance between their hips, their shoulders, their hands, and their feet without the stress of double arm swimming. You'll notice that Michael does two types of single arm drills. One with a straight arm, where he gets a better feel for his body movement and the momentum that his recovery carries over the top of the water, and one where he has a bent arm, where he's working on a quiet hand entry and an excellent and quick catch when he goes into the water. A single-double drill is a drill we use in conditioning, and it's also a great drill to use for timing of the breath and for timing of the arm stroke with the body. Michael will take a right arm stroke without breathing, a double arm stroke with a breath, and then a left arm stroke without breathing. And he'll repeat this pattern for various repeat distances, maybe 25s, maybe 100s, maybe a 400. This is a tremendous drill to do in training because you can cover a fairly long distance without the fatigue that you'd get from regular butterfly swimming. One of our favorites we call 2, 2, and 2, which means that the swimmers take 2 right arm strokes, 2 left arm strokes, and then 2 full strokes of butterfly. This allows them to work on the timing and the arm position and the catch in the butterfly single arm strokes, and then carry it over and put it all together for a couple full strokes. The best balance and distance drill is an excellent way for swimmers to learn to manage their body core in the butterfly stroke. See how Michael balances his body on the surface by using very light kick. He's controlling the whole movement by using his torso and his core body muscles. Then he moves into a full stroke of swimming and returns back to the flat position on the surface with very little up and down movement or diving underwater. It's very important in this drill that the swimmer stays flat on the surface and doesn't have a big undulation after the stroke. I think one of the things that everyone needs to understand about Michael or about any swimmer is that you're going to go through periods of your career where you don't do best times at every meet. Since I've coached Michael since he was 10 years old, I've been able to watch him develop, and from the time he was 10 until he was roughly 20 years old, he never had a year where his best events did not improve.
Every time I get in the water, I want to do the best time. Whether it's possible or not, you know, that's my goal when I get into the water. Is how fast can I swim today?
Going into the Pan Pacific Championships in Vancouver in 2006, I was very concerned that Michael might never do a best time again in the butterfly and that he might have reached his level of potential.
Best 5 times in history at this distance, and Phelps has said even after the Nationals when he swam so well, Rowdy, he's looking for times. He wants to break records.
So tough. Can you imagine trying to break your own best time and they just happen to be world records? And there's so much expected out of these guys when they dive in the water because their best times happen to be world records. And he hasn't gone a quote-unquote best time in 3 years in this event, and I think if he can clean it up and tweak a few things here and there, he'll flirt with it here in these finals.
First turn is 16/100ths under world record pace.
He's right on it, looking very comfortable. You see him in the middle of the screen, black cap, Japanese swimmers flank him.
The race at Pan Pacs was quite interesting in that it was one of the few butterfly races Michael's ever swum where he was not in the lead for most of the race.
The Japanese swimmers are giving him a little bit of a race early on.
Yeah, Shibata looks like he's got a little lead on Phelps as they come here to the turn.
You know,
it is.
I have to tell you, Ted, I really don't think Phelps wanted to be in this position. Michael likes to force the pace, and what's happened now are the rest of the swimmers are forcing the pace early on.
Wow, they're going to come to the 150 turn with Shibata in the lead.
I saw him out of the corner of my eye when I was doing underwater kick. I was like, well, gotta go to my legs.
Now Michael Phelps is going to turn it on.
Boy, did you see that turn? Michael Phelps just flew off that last wall, and all of a sudden, even comes into a full body length lead. Now you got to keep an eye on that world record. You certainly do. 153.93. He's coming in. 10 meters left.
Can Phelps do it with a remarkable finish?
He did it.
He did. Incredible.
When Michael touched the wall in the Pan Pacs and we saw that he had broken a world record, it was one of the most satisfying feelings that both of us have had in swimming because we had to work very hard for that record and go through some adversity to get there. I think just seeing the excitement on his face And feeling that myself was one of the memories I'll always treasure about swimming and our relationship and our time together. It resulted in an excellent world record time, which I think will stand for quite a while unless Michael chooses to break it again in the near future. I hope he does.